Welcome to the broadcast today. I wanted to show you guys, kind of start off with a foundation. A lot of my previous videos, I've been kind of showing you guys how to install and set up various kind of web apps. But I think this will be my first series, I'll say, project series, what we'll kind of call this. What I wanted to do is we'll start with a foundation, and we're gonna first show you guys how to set up your own LAMP server, your Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, or Perl server. And alongside with that, we're gonna companion that with Webmin, which is a Unix-based or web-based administration platform or web-based administrative tool for Linux servers. So I think if I kind of start off with that and show you guys kind of how to set up a foundation, and then you can kind of have a better understanding of how to build out and set up your own server and web application, whether it be some type of framework or coding tool or monitoring server or any other, or if you want to have your own storage server. We're going to start off with a foundation so you can then build out your own project or server project from there. And then maybe we can kind of share, you can kind of share with the channel and share some of your projects that you built out from your LAMP server. All right, so stay with me, stay tuned. We're going to get started here on Bwit TV. All right, so come on in, get seated here. First things first, we're going to build this server from Ubuntu 20.04. Yeah, I understand that there's a new version coming out, I think 21.04, but we're going to stick with 20.04. It's a long-term support release. But that's what we're going to be working with in this particular video. Mind you, your LAMP server can be installed on kind of really any Linux-based distribution, whether it's Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora, or any other distribution of Linux. So let's get started. I have you find your distribution of choice, but if you want to follow along exactly with what I'm doing, I would recommend you set up or install your system with Ubuntu, and then you'll be able to kind of follow along with what the commands that I'm typing in. So let's get rolling. So I've got my container. I'm running this in a container environment, so some kind of make it a little bit quick and easy. So I've got this fired up. I'm logged in. The first thing you want to do that I would suggest is make sure your OS is completely updated. So we're going for my purpose, we're going to type in apt update, and I've already run this, so all of the updates have kind of already been installed. You want to do this first. Okay, see, I've got 3. I did it earlier. I don't think I actually set it. So let's do that. Up, you upgrade. Hit enter. Held by another process. What was I must have. Let's do this. control. And upgrade. Blah, 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 cannot get held by unintended. Oh, this must be upgrading already. So let's do this. This might log me out. I'm gonna stop and oh yeah, that might be why. So that's okay. Just I'm gonna get back in here. Bear with me. So let's do this. I'm gonna stop it. And start. You know what? Yeah, okay, let me go back and put my terminal down here. Oh, I interrupted some stuff here. So, gee. That's why I wasn't running. It was in the process of setting. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do this. Upgrade. And there we go. There's some things that says it wasn't required or it doesn't need anymore. Let this do this here. Shouldn't take very long, just a couple of items. All right, so that's all done. Now, I'm pretty much gonna show you guys the quick, fast, and easy, dirty way. I don't want to call it dirty. Easy and clean way to get your LAMP server quickly installed with all the necessary services and components that you'll need essentially. There are cases where you would need to some web applications require specific versions of services. For example, your PHP. There are some web applications that might require a specific version of PHP to install, so therefore it will require you to install specific version. And typically the sites will have, it'll tell you, okay, yeah, we use this particular version, and it will give you some type of instructions on how to do that. So what I'm going to do is, for the purposes of this, and when you're running Ubuntu, I'm going to show you the quick, fast, and easy, dirty way here. And this is particularly pertaining to the folks that are running Ubuntu. What you want to do is, we're going to do this here, apt install task SEL. We're going to say yes. And I'm doing this. This is for the folks that you're not, you know, some of this essential setup will have to be from the command line. But I want to show you how to quickly get this up and done for those that aren't really strong with doing or setting up anything from your Linux machine via the terminal. So there's a lot of folks that are, you know, Windows based, so people don't dive off into the command line. So I want to show this the quick, easy way. So we installed we typed in apt space install space task, basically task select. It's truncated TASKSEL, and that installs that. So in order to run that, you just essentially type in as a super user. I'm actually logged in as I'm already executing all of this as root user. So what you want to do is you want to super user this. So you type in sudo and then task. You type in sudo task that and then hit enter. Give it a second, and what happens is it opens up your software selection screen for Ubuntu, and you can see there's some things here. Ubuntu cloud images, which we don't want that, and a lot of other individual services that you could install for your Ubuntu. So, but what we're looking for is LAMP server right there, and that's essentially what you want. You hit that, hit OK, and hit your enter, and it's off to the races for you. This may take a few minutes to get that actually fully installed, but once everything is installed, you'll have basically your LAMP server is installed at that point. Now, what can you do with that? Yeah, there's I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily manage this for those that aren't, like I said, you really don't want to have to navigate very much and do many configurations from the command line if you're not familiar. So I'm going to show you, like I said, these videos are for those that really, you want to get this up clean and easy and have a easy way to manage it. That's what this is for. If that doesn't describe you, well, then this video is probably not for you. This is those that are you can call them greenhorns, fresh behind the ears, and are trying to get started, and they want an easy way to really kind of get themselves familiar with this and getting this set up. So that's what this is to do. And this will basically install all of the necessary packages that you need in order to run your LAMP server. So all of these will be most likely the latest versions of Apache, MySQL for database, your PHP, and of course the whatever current version of your Ubuntu Linux that you're running. Now, I'm not sure if this option is available on your servers that use your RPM package management. I have to check and see. It should be. I would imagine so, but this is specifically, like I said, tied to using Ubuntu or any Debian-based installation. We're at 88%. You need to grab you something to drink. Go run and do that while this is finishing up. Okay, looks like that has, it's about tidied up there. Let me take a look, see where we're at. Okay. All right, so I think we got what we have and need to have installed here. I'm gonna check. Let's see here. What is this? System. Yeah. Status. Apache 2. Type that in there, right? And there we go. So as you can see, our we do have Apache server is up and running, which is it's a good thing. So at this point, like I said, I'm not going to go through this. Is for my quick down and dirty setup folks that really want to just get this up and going. So the next process is we're going to install Webmin. Okay. So what we want to do is there's some additional things we need to add in order to install Webmin. So what you want to do, I just copied and paste that in there. I'll leave it on the screen. You can check it out. But you're going to type in sudo apt install software dash properties dash common and apt dash transport dash https and also wget. So once you got that typed in there fully, you're going to hit enter. Some may already be installed, and then whatever is remaining, go ahead and hit yes. wget was already installed for us. This is going to install the remaining of what I need. And what I'll do is I'll put, it's just a couple of lines that you need to type in, but I'll put this into the description on the video so you can scroll down and to it'll show you actually how to install Webmin, because we're not going to be downloading physically, like downloading the software like from a download link. We're going to be using wget and we're going to be adding the key for the repository that we'll be using, and then we'll download the software and install it. So all right, so that's complete. Let's go ahead. Now it's time to do our Webmin piece, and I'm going to paste this command in here, which is wget space dash q space and then the link to the Webmin key, and we're piping it back into apt sudo apt key. So like I said, if you don't have to worry about, I mean, if you want to pause the video and look at what this is, if it's you're not sure, like I said, I'll leave these these one line commands to type in the description of the video below. So we've got that in there. I'm gonna hit enter, and oh, I need to take sudo off of here, I believe. And what do we got here? apt key. Leaving something off here. Add the key, key add. Hold on, I think I'm typing in something real here. which I am. I'm leaving off what I thought. Yes, add. There we go. So I left off you can see here my add off of the argument there. So that's installed. Now we'll say apt update. It should be adding our Webmin location. Now we can say apt, if you're not root or super user, say sudo apt install Webmin. Now I'll tell you, this is going to throw us an error. Install. Oh, I'm sorry. I left off. I didn't add our Webmin repository. So that is my fault. So bear with me. And I'm gonna leave that up. If you can't read it, don't worry about it. Like I said, I'll leave this in the description, in the video description field below, so you'll be able to see exactly what I put in here to the terminal. So once you put that in, type this in apt, I need to add the repository for Webmin. That's what happened. So hit enter. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and apt, let's update now, and then we'll install our Webmin. Perfect. Now I'm just toggling back up to the previous commands I typed. All right, so apt, sudo apt install Webmin. Here we go. This is going to throw us an error, I'll tell you that once we so there's some additional things you can see here. It requires some additional packages here, mainly some Perl packages that it needs, as well as zip. So we'll say yes to those. Let that rock on. Do its do the thing. And this is going to install the latest version of Webmin. And I wanted you to do this way. That way, you don't have to, anytime Webmin is updated and you sudo apt and update your Ubuntu, your server, it will also check and or upgrade to the latest Webmin version. So you'll always be in the loop. That's in that regard. So this typically takes a minute or two, downloads and then the actual unpacking of it. And typically, if I remember correctly, this typically may throw an error, and I'll have to do a install the package, or install with use the apt package management and do a fix, so it'll fix any dependency. I believe that it's going to throw us a dependency problem, but we'll see though. Just hang tight with us. You might go take your quick bathroom break. Like I said, this might take a minute or two. Get that squared away. So y'all be cool and be easy. If you're just hanging out though, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, share the video. Much is appreciated. So if you do that, I do thank you very much in advance. Thank you. Also, if you just now joining or checking out the video, or if you're just, you kind of just clicked, this video is for those that are looking to set up a Linux Apache MySQL server, PHP, all the good stuff. Basically, and that's the foundation on really creating a web-based kind of application, or setting up your own, if you want to host your own website, setting up a separate type of database server. This is the foundation that you'll be able to build upon and create other tools, other web-based applications and services that you can utilize. And once you do this, you'll basically this will kind of you set this up, and you'll just you what they call rinse and repeat. You might even, if you're using some type of virtual machine or container, just set you up a basic LAMP server, and once that's essentially set up, then you can cookie cutter from that. All right, so as you can see, it says Webmin install is complete. I'll highlight that if you can't see. So Webmin install complete. You can now log into HTTPS Elegant Williams, and then this port, which is 10,000. As root with your root password, or as any user who can use sudo to run commands as root. So, all right, so that's good. Let's check this out. Let's go take a look here. IP address, and what's the IP address of this container? 10.03.2. It says your connection is not private, which is fine. We'll hit OK, and we'll proceed, and we should get our, there we go, our Webmin login interface. So I'm gonna log in as my root, and actually, did I set up a password already? I don't know that I did. If you haven't done that, if you're already sudo, log in with your sudo user. I don't ever think I should have changed my password at the beginning, so I know it is just some randomly generated password. All right, so I just wanted to update my password, so now I should be able to log in. All right, so I have successfully set up our LAMP server, and we have installed Webmin for our server administration, which I wanted to show you. This makes, if you're not, you don't want to dive in and get the messing around with the doing a lot of stuff from the terminal interface here, which, if you're not familiar, yeah, it could be a little challenging, or it could be a little bit intimidating to get in there and dive in if you're not familiar. So that's why I wanted to go through here and show you all how to basically step through, install this really quick, and then look, it makes administration real easy. It makes monitoring your system real easy. You're not running a full bloated desktop or anything like that. This is essentially a web-based interface. So you can see here, it gives you a nice system information on the host version of Webmin. You got system time, processor information, shows you how many processes you're running, gives you your total memory use, disk use and size, all right here from the screen. Now you can say, hey, well, what can I do here from here? is a lot of configuration that you can do right here from this dashboard. This is a lot of the configuration just for Webmin itself. So as far as, you can go here to Webmin configuration, and there's a lot of control mechanisms and modules you can use to set up security features for Webmin itself. Certificate authorities. You can restart Webmin service. You got here, you can set up specific ports and addresses that if you only want specific ports and address, you can bind it to an address. So here, if you don't want to use, if you want to actually use Webmin on a different port, here's where you make that happen. You go in here, specify a different port right here, and you just save those changes. And so then instead of it being 10,000, you could put whatever port you want here, 20,000 or whatever port you feel that you that's open, I should say, that's an unused an uncommon port, I would say. So this is where you can change some address specific features. Let's go down here. So they've got different categories here: system, server, tools, networking, hardware, cluster, unused modules. So unused modules. So we're going to just step through here so I can show you this real quick. So under system here, you can boot up, shut down the system, change your passwords. Here you can get disk and network file system. So this will tell you information about the disk, the disk itself. You can see how everything, most of the things are mounted, if they're mounted or not, if they're in use, what percentage is going on. Here you can actually add mounts, different file systems. So if you have things you want to add, you've got file system backup. You can create backups of your file system. We've got log file rotation, MIME type programs, PAM authentication, where you can change the authentication type or add authentication mechanisms. Here you got running processes. You can see what's currently running on the system. Processes by owner, how long they've been running, the command that's running them. You can schedule cron jobs, software package updates. You can check for software packages, update them right from here. We got software packages. So you can actually install packages here right from the URL, or if you've downloaded them locally, they're on your local machine, you can install them right here via the browser. A few different ways you can install packages. So we've got system documentation, which is always good to have information on how to work things. We've got system logs where you can check out various log files for your server itself. From your system log, daemon log, kernel logs. We got mail, user. And then if you want to add additional logs, you can do that here. Then we got users and groups. Really very easy. You can go here, click here to check out the already default users and groups that are already on the system once you do a fresh install. We can click on the user groups. As you can see here, you can see the existing members of each group. Okay, click back on local. If you want to create a new user, there you go. Click that username. You can automatically create the home directory, specify the directory if you want, give it a real name, and all the other security features are specifying what group you want it to belong to. Nice. Okay, so moving on. We got servers here. As you can see here, This is a LAMP server, Linux, which is, we're already running, along with Apache. Hit continue, we're not saving anything. So by default, Apache is essentially already up and running, because that's how we're actually accessing this interface anyway. You'd have to have some type of web server running. So, but as you can see here, by default, existing virtual host right here, which is really nice. If you all want to host your own websites, create virtual hosts, you do that from here. Hit your tab. You can handle the connection to a specific address. Here's where you make the port default. Right now it'd be on 80. Here you can create or point to where your default root folder for the web server will be. And as you can see here, you can set up under new virtual directory here, which would be under sites, Apache 2 sites available. You can do that, and then if I was to add, it would create, which let's do that so I can just demonstrate, because that was the purpose. I wanted to use this, easily show you how to, boom. I'm just going to leave everything default, handle connections on any address. It'll create the document root, server name. If you're familiar with setting up DNS, you can do that. Give it a specific server name. I'm going to leave everything automatic. So I'm just going to create a new virtual host. All right, so there we go. So generates that automatically. See, as you can see here, if you have downloaded whatever server hosting application that you wanted to set up, you would essentially, that's where you would create your document root. Which would be, where we're looking at your document root. So you could go here, say boom, say, okay, I need it to, this server is going to be under var www, and then here you'd have to create your folder first, right? You'd need to create the folder that you're going to put that location into. So this is just a demonstration. I can show you where to go to do that at. So excuse me. Moving along, that's our, we've got our virtual Apache server set up. As you can see here, I just handled just a generic server, so you can see that's up and running. You can go here if you needed to restart your Apache server, apply changes. You stop and start your Apache server from right here. Here you can add modules, some other features, configuration files right here. If you want to see easily, you can go in here and actually edit without, doing a lot of this from the command line. So moving along, we're going to go here. Under servers, you got MySQL database server. This is where, as you create your web applications, those databases will be created here. And or if you're just wanting to set up a database server, you can create these, come here and create these databases here, create user accounts for these databases. I'm not going to go into detail with that, but this is just strictly to show you some of the administrative functions of Webmin for your new server. You got read user mail here. So I don't have any mail server installed. So this module is actually this read user mail module won't work because I'm not using, I don't have postfix or any mail server installed. So as you grow or want to build out your server, any server related services and applications, those things will be listed here. So moving on, you got tools. So you got a command shell here where you can actually type in command options or commands that you want to execute from a shell, and you can type those in and hit execute. And what it'll do is it'll return the results. So that's if you're not, you know what you want to type, but you don't really want to kind of dive into that command thing here. You got custom commands that you can create. We got the file manager. This right here, I think, would be invaluable for you. So file manager. So you don't necessarily have to move data back and forth over a terminal connection. You can simply log into your Webmin if you need to upload. For example, i.e., you got a server, you need to upload those files. You can come here, var Webmin. This is what I was showing you before for your virtual host. You could essentially come here, and I could say, look, I could go here, create new directory. Give that directory a name. I'm just going to call it my web site and drop it there. Bam, there you go. So now when you go back, you go to your Apache server here and then point that virtual host. You can point it there to your new website directory where all the information or all the files necessary to run that web application will be there. So, and this www, that's the Apache, that's the default location for the web server. And this is essentially where you want to put any files that you have that are, if you're running a web application that requires Apache, this is where you're going to essentially dump those. This is where you want to create. If you want to set up a new website, this is where you would do that. So by default, Apache has a default HTML site index file. See, and I could just, so let's do that. Let me so I can show you here. So what's that? 10.0.3.229. Gonna type that in. I hit OK and go and see, there you go. So that's our default. So Apache's running. This is the default page. You could edit this. You could edit this index file and or create your website from here based on basic HTML. Like I said, this is where you want to go in and create most where you want your websites to be hosted is under the www directory. All right, so moving right along, I'm going to go back to our tools. You can create HTTP tunnels to other web servers. Here you got Perl modules. You got PHP configuration. So here you can adjust some of the options for the Apache PHP config. Here you can create protect directories. You have some directories that don't need that need to have some protection where other things can't get in or other people or resources can't access. You do that there. SSH login. See, it says there's no SSH server running on here, port 22. So I don't have the SSH server installed. That's why you see that. Here, this is nice. This shows you what system and server services that you have running. You can actually see here, you can go in here and see if it's running locally, and you can actually get a status. Obviously minus is not installed. The checks are what running, as you can see here. Local, we got status check good for Apache and our MySQL database server. And as you add different server services, though, it will begin to monitor those statuses as well. You can see with DHCP if you want to set up a DHCP server. Samba server for file sharing. You got SendMail and Postfix for our mail servers. You got Squid proxy servers, Qmail server. We've got our DNS server. So it's a lot of different services that come into play when you're setting up this. Here there's text login. Yeah, let's see. It says Ajax term required. That's not found on the system. I don't really bother utilizing that very often or really at all. So I'm not going to really touch on that. Download and upload. See here, you can download and upload files. Right here it says this form allows you to download files or web pages from HTTP or FTP URLs to the system running Webmin. Can download immediately or on a schedule. So this is nice. You can download it, download a file, so you can point to where you want to download, put the download here or URL that you want to download. Here you can upload to a server, download from a server. So you get 3 different options: from the web, to upload to a server, and then download from a different server. So that's all the tools, your Webmin tools. Let's go into networking. Networking is pretty important here. You got bandwidth monitoring, which is nice. You can actually turn this on and monitor the network traffic that's going through the ports, any network interfaces on this server. As you can see, it'll as you can see here, it says it'll consume a large amount of disk space and CPU time. So you really only want to really utilize that if it's an absolutely necessary and or if you have a very nice high-powered machine server. Okay, moving on, you have the firewall here, very basic. Utilizes IP tables. You can actually go in here. You can create rules for the firewall. You know, so you can go in and create actions, create rules, add a rule for incoming packets. You can go in here, comment, and then action to take. You can accept drop. Here you got source address, destination address. So destination address have the packet coming in, and a lot of detailed ingrained TCP and UDP options for filtering out the packet as it comes in. So I'm gonna go back, and you can restart and apply configurations for your firewall there. Also, they have IPv6 firewall, and next we're gonna keep it pushing. So if I'm gonna scroll down here, this is probably more the section you'll probably be in and out of more, is the network configuration. Okay, so with this, you can go in here. We'll click network interfaces. As you can see here, only one interface is set to DHCP. It's active. You can go in here. This is where you can actually add, as you can see here, add an interface. So if you have an additional network card that you want to add to your server, this is where you do it from. Give it a name. Activate it at boot. You can static the address forward from DHCP and a few other IPv6 options. So that's where you actually go in and add your interface. You can see there's 2 tabs here for activated right now, and then items that are activated when the server boots up. So, all right, and then next here you got routing and gateway. So this will actually act as a router if you want it. So see, default router is set to none. That means this is acting not as a router, but just as a a server host receiving an address from a DHCP server. So if you did want to, you can change the default gateway or default router. If it's not, if you have some static router, you can put that in there. You can set this to act as a router if you need. You can actually add static routes in here as needed. Boom, boom. Interface, network, interface that the static route needs to take, which is off the server here, and then the network mask and gateway, so forth. Here you see currently current active routing configuration, which is essentially just the default that's on this this Linux container here. So that's the routing and gateway portion of the network settings. Hold on, click too fast here. So still network. So you got host name and DNS client. Here you can change the host name. Here change the resolution order. By default, it's set to host file, so it checks the host file for name resolution, which you can see as itself. It uses itself as the DNS server 127.0.0.53. So, and you could switch these. As you can see here, there's a few other options you could use for DNS options. You can flop these if you do have a DNS server that you use primarily. You can change this to DNS server. So add your search domains there. All right, so moving on, host address. This is where if you aren't using a DNS, you can actually add host addresses here. This is where the host file name, it gets it's where the host file gets its names from, I should say. So that's that. Let's move on. We have the not going to cover this too tough. This is network information services. This is a way of authenticating clients and logins, and I don't necessarily set these up. So I'm not going to really dive in and kind of I'd see it doesn't have the client installed. These are just, you can actually use these are this is a network information services, and you can set up authentication process with these. Next we got TCP wrappers. Host allow. These aren't by default, nothing's set up in here. This has to do with host rules accessing the server here. I think another important one here, I think you got, is the hardware section. Here, ICS SI clients. I don't mess with this too tough either, so I'm not going to cycle through these options here. Google is your friend on that. Next, we got partitions and local disks. Says no local disks are found on the system. That's because this is running in a V virtual machine. I don't have any disk on here, but if you did have disks, you'd see those here. Local partitions. So you can see manage default partition table format, all that jazz. OBAT printer administration. You're using a printer. As you can see here, this is an installed cup. I'm not running cups or any print server, but you can go here. You'd be able to administer that from here. System time here, it's important. I guess you can go in here, make changes to the time zone, to the system time. Change it to whatever corresponding time zone you have. Here, you can go in here. This is for time server sync. I got cluster. This is for managing a cluster of these Webmin servers. So I this is just one server. As you can see, I don't have I'm not running. See, you know me, no Webmin servers. This is if you were managing. You had multiple of these Webmin servers, and you'd be able to manage them and manage them in a cluster. But I'm not going to touch on that. I don't use Webmin in that fashion, so I'm not going to touch on that. I think probably the last most important thing here is the unused modules. So if you want to actually set up a different server or add to your additional server, if you want to add some additional features and things like that, I'm not going to go in here and click on each and every one of these. These are for added functionality to your server. I'll just go down the line here, and you can see there's ADSL client backup system. You got the bind DNS server, DHCP server, disk quotas. You got Dovecot, IMAP, and postfix server, fail to ban intrusion detector. You got fetch mail, mail retrieval, firewall ID. Firewall D. That's another. It's another firewall service that you can run instead of IP tables. You got the bootloader, heartbeat monitor, keeps track of the heartbeat of the system. You got some ICSC, some SCSI, and ISC SCSI server stuff. That's if you running the SCSI setup. LDAP, you got RAID, logical volume management, Mon services, monitoring services, Jabber IM, Kerberos for security and authentication. You got postfix, a lot of some VPN services, SendMail, spam, SSH server. You got Squid, you got a proxy server, and you got log file analyzers, FTP servers, look at Samba Windows file sharing. So you click these, add these on, and it'll add additional modules onto. You'll find those typically under your server or some type of tool. Let's click back to our dashboard. But so in a nutshell, that's the server. The server's up. You got it up and running. You got a nice dashboard here. You can click on Bail over here. Also gives you information on your host machine that's running. You'll get notifications. So this is a really handy web interface if you really want to get your server up. You don't want to start kind of dabbling around, kind of confused with what commands to type in, or you're trying to navigate. And I showed you the easy, slick, quick way to really install a Ubuntu LAMP server along with a Webmin management interface, and kind of showed you some of the additional features you can use to set up and or manage your LAMP server. So I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys got something out of it. If you did, set up your LAMP server and start playing around with it. Find some applications, find some maybe some web frameworks you might be interested in, or if you want to do some web development, find some of those and start building out, working on those projects that you might and find some interest in. Like I said, this was more of a way to create a cookie cutter kind of way of setting up a new Linux Apache MySQL PHP server. Okay. If you like the video, don't forget subscribe, hit that like button, and also share the video. I am JC, aka Bobby D, the Black Nerd. I will catch you on the next video. Peace. Holla holla. I am out.